Yeah, this is not exactly the news I thought I'd be waking up to today. And yet here we are. 2020 is just the year that keeps on blessing us, ladies and gentlemen, in all the worst ways possible. Or is it? Maybe this is truly a blessing in disguise. So, excuse me if I'm just kind of all over the place during this recording. I literally just got done hanging out with the guys from Podcast Unlocked with Ryan McCaffrey. Great guy, great podcast. The episode will be up in a few days if y'all want to check it out. And this new story broke while we were recording. So I had to give my thoughts on it while we were recording the podcast, in addition to internally processing this for myself, while also realizing I'm still on a podcast and we have other topics to tackle. So this is like the first time I'm actually able to sit down and talk about it. So excuse me if I'm just kind of all over the place. Wow, this is unexpected. This is unprecedented. I did not expect Microsoft to do this. And I know when we're talking about the idea of video game delays, if a game, you see it doesn't look that impressive, then of course, wouldn't you want to get delayed, more time in the oven, things like that? You are true. That old Miyamoto quote, which is something along the lines of a delayed game is eventually good, but a bad game is bad forever. Of course, there are some exceptions to that rule. There are some games that are just, they spend so much time in the oven and they just come out looking, somehow they're burnt and undercooked at the same time. Final Fantasy 15 comes to mind. But as a whole, if a game needs extra time to be worked on, I think that if you afford the developer the opportunity, we might end up getting a better game out of it. So I wanted to show y'all the post. This is coming from the official Twitter account for Halo, talking about the delay. If you follow video game news to any capacity, then I'm sure you've seen this before. They always have the update as an image itself, and then the tweet header is like an important update from the Halo Infinite development community, because they don't want to lead off saying Halo Infinite has been delayed. But it is really relevant that you guys do understand where they're coming from with this, because I think it's actually a bigger thing than a lot of people realize. So when I talked about Halo Infinite in its initial campaign unveil a few weeks back, I kept mentioning the optics. And a lot of people were wondering, why you kept mentioning that. When I say you got to read the room of things when it comes to Halo Infinite, because Halo is an institution. This is a brand. This is a legacy. It's been around for 20 years. There are people who not only have grown up playing Halo, but there are people in just the general everyday public who, even if they don't know like what a console is, like, oh, this is a Nintendo, this is a PlayStation, they know characters like Mario. They know characters like Master Chief. These characters are iconic, and that's real iconic, not Ubisoft iconic like Jim Sterling likes to say. And for Halo to be in a situation right now where we just have to get on here and kind of just accept what they were showing us, like, let's just be real about life for a second. Halo under 343 has really not been the best it's ever been. It really hasn't. You had Halo 4, which was objectively okay. It was alright, it wasn't the best, but we'll see where it's going from there. You have Halo 5 coming out, which is like only half of it was really good, the other half, no thank you. And then the Master Chief Collection, which launched broken, it took them years to fix. Yeah, 343 does not have the most stellar track record, and if Infinite came out looking like that on release, I don't know how much defense we could give artistic integrity for an art style, y'all. I mean, there's nothing that defends low-res textures and just obvious pop-ins on the world's most powerful console, 12 teraflippity flops performance. Why do I keep mentioning that? Because it's the optics. Halo is a brand. This is iconic for Xbox. This is supposed to be their marquee franchise. You know what I'm saying? This is a game that's supposed to be jaw-dropping. It's supposed to be impressive. Like, damn, I don't game on Xbox, but I want to get that game. And even if you don't care about it, you can say like, yeah, you know what? I don't care about Halo, but Halo, that's that game for Xbox and it's doing great. You know what I'm saying? And it just didn't look like Infinite was going to give us that on release. And it worried me more so as a person who, I just got back into the Xbox ecosystem. And I was worried that this was just going to continue that trend of, hey, we'll release these games and then we'll finish it later. Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, both of those games are in better situations now, but when they launched, not at all. So them delaying the game, I am 150,000% in support of it, because if it gives them the extra time to work on this, because remember, the game is supposed to come out in November, which means this game is supposed to go gold somewhere around October. That means only 2 months or so of more development. That would be a crunch race to the finish line of epic proportions. And that's not even factoring in all the work from home stuff that's happening. You know, like this is what needed to happen in order for Halo to be great again. God, it sounds so weird to say that. But yeah, if this game really gives 343 the opportunity to fine tune it, to polish it, then I'm all for it, man. They haven't given it an exact date as of yet. All it says is just a vague 2021. So whether it's like March 2021 or June 2021, it remains to be seen. But I do have hope and faith in 343 that the second time they unveil this game, it should have been what it looked like the first time. Now, diving into another topic that is not necessarily about Halo Infinite itself, but it is related to what its impact will have for the next generation of consoles. The Xbox Series X, a lot of people have been asking if this really does diminish whether or not a person should go and upgrade the Xbox Series X. A lot of people were saying that, well, you know, now that Halo Infinite has been delayed, I have no reason to buy a Series X at launch. And I've seen this topic brought up numerous times before when you're talking about the launches of consoles and things like that. And if I'm being real with y'all, like I can only speak for myself here. You know, I can't speak for that one person who says, hey, well, I was that one guy you were talking about. Video game console launches historically have never been the greatest. They really haven't. There have been some exceptions where you go out there and you have some good games, but as a whole, most of the games are kind of just like, Sometimes they're good, but a lot of it is just third party, cross-generational titles. You know, you look at the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, it had Breath of the Wild at launch, and that was basically it. And Breath of the Wild, you can't even count that as a Switch game because it started development on a Wii U and it released on the Wii U as well. So you can't really count that as that's the reason why you need to buy the Switch. Sure, it was great because they had it there as an option, but it's not like, yeah, we're making this game exclusively for the Switch. I mean, looking at the PlayStation 4, for example, I mean, outside of the greatest game, which is Game of the Year every single year, knack, was there really an incentive to buy a PS4 at launch? No. Why did people buy a PS4 at launch? Because they wanted to upgrade to the next generation of consoles, because they wanted the new shiny piece of technology. And that's how it happens for a lot of early adopters. A lot of early adopters are not playing these crazy next generational experiences at launch. This is not what it's been. It's never been like this. That's just kind of been the status quo. I would love for it to be better, for them to have more games there, but that's what it is. Most people, they wait until there's a handful of games that they really want to check out and buy day one. But as a whole, it's just like, you know what you're getting into when you're adopting into a console at launch. You know that it's not going to have all the features. You know it's not going to have all the games. And potentially it could be prone to some hardware issues, as, you know, first runs of these units tend to be, you know? So in that particular situation, I don't necessarily think it hurts the Xbox Series X's prospects, because I think that if you knew you were going to buy a Series X, you were going to buy a Series X. That's it. What are the things that are really holding people back when it comes down to buying a console? There's one: the price. Neither Sony nor Microsoft have unveiled the pricing of their systems. The PlayStation 4 was not a success because of its launch lineup or the fact that it supported used games or whatever. It was a success because it was cheaper than Microsoft out the gate, and it was more powerful than Microsoft out the gate. The price is what is really going to factor in on whether or not somebody picks up these systems, because I'm just being real about life, y'all. Outside of this sphere of us talking about games and stuff, most people, most consumers, they go where they can get the most bang for their buck. You know, people do not have this type of crazy loyalty. I've seen so many people switch from Samsungs to Apples and back and forth. And, you know, like with PlayStation and Xbox, there are people last generation who were PlayStation who switched to Xbox this generation, and vice versa, back and forth. Like, people, consumers are all over the place. There are some who are really loyal, and then there's some who have no loyalty whatsoever, you know? So if there's people out there who bought a PlayStation 4, and if they see the PS5 is $600+, they're not going to buy no PS5. Just, people are going to adhere to what they want. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily what this company is telling them. So if Xbox comes out there and its price is more attractive and it has more things that this particular consumer is looking towards, then they're going to go towards that, similar to PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily think that not having Halo Infinite is going to really kill the launch, because what does the PS5 have that's really attracting people? Spider-Man Miles Morales and I think the Demon's Souls remake? You get what I'm saying? Like, literally, early adopters always get screwed when it comes to those particular scenarios. But it's kind of status quo. You buy it because you want the new, fancy, shiny piece of technology. That's how it always is. So whether or not somebody buys an Xbox Series X when it launches, or they wait 3, 4, 5, 6 months for the launch of Halo Infinite, is it really going to make that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things? Like, let's just be real about life for a second. Like I always say, I just think that it's not that big of an issue, because a lot of people were saying that, well, the Series X is not going to have Halo, I'm not going to buy it. They weren't going to buy Halo because it wasn't exclusive to the Series X. It was also on Xbox and PC. So again, you got to filter in on who you're listening to here. Are these just the wild fanboys who are going to hate on it regardless, or what? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's all I got for y'all today in regards to Halo Infinite being delayed. I'm personally A-okay with it if the game ends up actually being really good and representative of what they originally wanted to show us. Hopefully this does, dispel all of the behind-the-scenes drama that we have been hearing on 343. I know people don't like to get into the whole rumor territory about, workplace mismanagement, but hey, if you hear too many people talking about it, at some point you got to question, maybe this is legit. And let's just hope that, Microsoft does do more to prop up the launch of the Series X, because even though I said without Halo, it's not like it's really going to affect it, but they really got to just like hammer home, like, yo, this is the value you're going to be getting out of Xbox, and I think Game Pass is going to be their exclusive for this holiday season, as weird as that sounds. Anyway, post your comments down below on what y'all got to think about this. For me, for now, my name is NGS signing out. Like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.